Helen Morris was born in the lands behind the ice walls, a place most of us cannot even imagine. Her father, William Morris, was a daring Navy navigator who crossed the ice walls into uncharted lands and uncovered truths that humanity was never meant to know. Now, Helen steps forward to reveal the secrets her father died to protect. The existence of extraterrestrial civilizations, humanity's lost history before the last reset, and the custodians, the shadowy rulers who have kept humanity in the dark for centuries. At 9:15 a.m., Helen Morris sat in a small grey room, the air heavy with stillness. The room was in the walled lands, a place where humanity had once thrived, but now felt like a shadow of its former self. Helen had returned to the lands of her ancestors, where the weight of history pressed down on her. Her father, William Morris, had always believed in freedom for these lands, and Helen was determined to continue his mission. In the walled lands, life was rigid and controlled. This cannot be called life, she thought. The land was filled with people who had been manipulated into defending a version of history that wasn't their own. They had forgotten the sacrifices made by those who came before them, people like her father, who had fought to reveal the truth. Helen's father had died trying to expose the custodians, a hidden force that manipulated these lands and buried the true history of humanity. They ruled through division, drawing lines between people based on colors, beliefs, and borders. These divisions had caused countless wars and immeasurable suffering. The only just cause is freedom, her father had often said, and Helen carried those words with her as a guiding light. The land itself was harsh, filled with dangers that made survival difficult, yet Helen couldn't abandon it. The custodians, also called the Watchers or the Corrupt Brotherhood, are a parasitic force that has exerted its influence since the dawn of humanity. Helen learned much about their control through her father's work and the teachings of Shiki, a giant human who revealed hidden knowledge about the world. This knowledge spoke of other civilizations and the true history of Terra Infinita, lands beyond the known world, hidden behind walls of ice. Helen believed her work was urgent. The custodians had exploited humanity's weaknesses for centuries, using division, media manipulation, and fear to maintain their control. Living this life seems normal, Helen noted, but it's a life built on lies. She urged people to question everything they had been taught, to embrace empathy and unity, and to resist the conditioning that had numbed them into complacency. Returning to the lands her father had left during wartime, Helen found them unchanged, still trapped under the custodians' grip. Wars continued, not for freedom, but to perpetuate the division and control the custodians thrived on. Her father's words echoed in her mind. True security cannot come from governments, leaders, or parties. It's up to us to break free from those who pull the strings from the shadows. The Great Dome is a colossal, mysterious structure that surrounds and encloses 178 worlds, known as circle environments. Each of these worlds is unique, with its own climates, civilizations, and sometimes smaller domes within them. It is said to be the boundary of the known universe, and for centuries, it has been a source of both fascination and fear. Few have seen the Great Dome up close, and those who have attempted to cross it have met with failure. Legends speak of early explorers who tried to reach the other side, only to find the dome impenetrable. Some even claim that the dome can be touched, though no one truly knows its nature. These attempts and their failures have left a lingering fear, particularly among the colonizing civilizations that dominate these worlds. For them, the dome is more than a boundary. It is a barrier protecting their power. The thought of an external force breaking through and disrupting their control keeps them awake at night. Within the dome, travel between the worlds is a challenge. Smaller domes within the circle environments are also difficult to penetrate, Over time, advanced technology was developed to navigate these barriers, but crossing by air remains almost impossible. The safest method has always been through water, where natural passages sometimes open, connecting the inner and outer worlds like fleeting doorways. Portals have enabled some exploration but have also caused chaos. Many portals are unstable, and travelers have vanished after stepping through them. Some believe these people were transported to unknown places, while others think they were destroyed in the process. Despite these risks, efforts to create new portals continue. Independent lands also exist between the circle environments. These neutral zones were once used by early explorers as resting points during long journeys. They are said to connect the worlds, making exploration and escape possible. Many believe that the worlds within the Great Dome were created to be studied, to inspire a drive for freedom, and to eventually lead explorers to the celestial lands, an even greater mystery that lies beyond the dome. The Great Dome looms over these worlds, a constant reminder of their confinement and their potential. It holds secrets, challenges, and perhaps a path to freedom. But crossing it comes at a price few are willing to pay. The custodians are a parasitic race driven by conquest and exploitation. Their technology revolves around attack and defense, and their relentless focus on colonizing and exploiting other lands and the beings they find there has made them a dominant force within the Great Dome. Their origins remain shrouded in mystery, but some theories suggest they are the product of a desperate fusion between their race and another, one that might have come from beyond the dome itself. This merger, it is said, created the formidable beings now known as the custodians. The custodians were among the first to venture beyond their own world, using their advanced technology to expand their reach. They moved from one circle environment to another, overwhelming the fledgling civilizations they encountered. Their power was unmatched, and their influence spread quickly as they explored the edges of the known worlds. However, their dominance has not gone unchallenged. The custodians have been defeated twice in recorded history, each time by a different race. These rare defeats have not diminished their ambition or their thirst for vengeance. If they have not yet tried again, a warning goes, they soon will. They are the only race known to have attempted entry into the celestial lands, a mysterious and sacred place believed to be the origin of humanity. According to legend, every human carries within them the source, or life energy, tied to the celestial lands. This connection is said to make a clash between humans and custodians inevitable. Although the custodians and humanity have clashed before, with the help of the giants, history is likely to repeat itself. Past mistakes cannot be afforded again, as the stakes are higher now than ever. Each reset imposed by the custodians has tightened their grip, making life less free and more controlled with every iteration. The humanity of today bears little resemblance to that of the past. Manipulation and strict control have eroded freedoms with each passing generation. During the Great War, humans and giants united to resist the custodians. While they managed to deliver a devastating blow, including the death of a major custodian leader, the defeat came at a high cost. The custodians enacted a reset, scattering human infants across the lands. Many of these children, under 7 months old, were raised in ignorance of their true history, molded by the custodians' technology to ensure control from the beginning. The Anunnaki are another powerful and feared race, known for their relentless conquests and advanced technology. Towering up to 5 meters tall, with yellow-green, scaly skin and piercing eyes that glow yellow, red, or black, their appearance alone strikes fear into anyone who encounters them. They are master builders, creating massive pyramids in every world they conquer, symbols of their dominance and control. Their technology is far more advanced than any other race in the Great Dome. They use powerful weapons and sophisticated portals to travel between worlds, allowing them to invade and overpower civilizations with ease. This technological edge has made them one of the most dangerous races, even more than the custodians. The Anunnaki and custodians have a complicated history. While the two races share a thirst for power, they have also clashed. In one great conflict, the Anunnaki defeated the custodians. But instead of continuing the fight, they later allied with the custodians. This alliance crushed the hopes of human and giant forces who had been fighting for freedom, leading to their defeat. The lands of the Anunnaki are harsh and unwelcoming. They live in dry, arid regions with little vegetation. One of the most dangerous features of their territory is the waters of Horus, which seem calm and inviting from a distance, but are filled with massive snake-like creatures, some over 55 meters long. These waters act as a deadly barrier, keeping intruders away. The Anunnaki are not just conquerors. They manipulate and shape the societies they dominate. Through myths, art, and false histories, they confuse people about their true past. Often depicted with animal-like heads and humanoid bodies, they have embedded their image into the cultures they control, ensuring their dominance is accepted as natural. Despite their alliance, tension always simmers between the Anunnaki and the custodians. Both races seek total control, and their uneasy truce is built on convenience rather than trust. For now, they share the position of ultimate rulers within the Great Dome, but their rivalry remains a potential weakness. On the other hand, the Venusians were a peaceful people focused on spiritual growth. They didn't build weapons or fortresses, making them seem like easy prey for the custodians, a colonizing force known for their brutality. Confident in their superiority, the custodians arrived on Venus expecting a swift conquest. But as soon as they set foot on the planet, they were met by an unrelenting storm that covered the surface. At first they assumed it was natural, but the storm didn't let up. Days turned to weeks, and it became clear that this wasn't ordinary weather. It was a defense. The Venusians had retreated underground into advanced bunkers, equipped with technologies the custodians couldn't understand. Every attempt to breach the bunkers failed. The custodians tried explosives, blockades, and other tactics, but the Venusians had planned for every possibility. Frustration turned to dissent among the custodians, and their forces began to collapse from within. As losses mounted, a custodian leader sought a meeting with a Venusian representative. The details of their conversation remain unknown, but the custodians left soon after, their invasion a complete failure. Venus remained free, its people safe underground, and the custodians learned the cost of underestimating those they sought to dominate. Further away, the Draco lands were home to the Etermines, a race known for their psychic powers and technological brilliance. Before they became the advanced society they are today, the Etermines faced an invasion by the custodians. At the time, they relied on their knowledge of the land and underground tunnels to resist, but the custodians' superior technology eventually overwhelmed them. Despite their defeat, the Etermines rebuilt and turned their lands into a hub of innovation. They formed alliances, including one with the Greys of Orion, and strengthened their defenses. Though they are at peace now, the Etermines have not forgotten the custodians, and may one day seek revenge. Mars tells a darker story. Once a thriving world, its people valued community and spiritual growth over warfare. When the Anunnaki arrived, the Martians fought back with everything they had. But when it became clear they couldn't win, the last Martians made a choice. They would rather die than live as slaves. In a final act of defiance, they ended their own lives, leaving the Anunnaki stunned. Mars was left empty, its civilization wiped out, and the Anunnaki turned it into an experimental zone. Today, it's a place of constant conflict, with different races, including a small human colony, living under the watchful eyes of the custodians and Anunnaki. The Neptunians had a different fate. Their world was harsh, with constant sandstorms and limited resources, but they adapted and built towering cities along their fertile coasts. When the Anunnaki arrived, they pretended to be allies, offering technology in exchange for cooperation. But this was a lie. The Neptunians were betrayed, their resources stolen, and their freedom stripped away. At first, they accepted their defeat, but the Neptunians couldn't be kept down for long. They rebelled, turning Triton into the center of a bloody conflict. The Anunnaki eventually withdrew, leaving Neptune free but scarred. The Uranites, giants with incredible vision, lived in the icy lands of Uranus. They were initially ignored by the custodians, but that changed when vast mineral deposits were discovered beneath their land. The custodians launched a brutal campaign, enslaving the Uranites and leaving their land covered in craters from relentless mining. Confined to a central region called Titania, the Uranites now struggle to survive. Their civilization a shadow of what it once was. The lands of Jupiter are vast and diverse, home to numerous territories, each with its own identity and culture. However, their history is marred by division and conflict, much of it orchestrated by the Anunnaki. Long ago, when the Anunnaki invaded Jupiter, they sowed discord among the native factions, ensuring their dominance by keeping the inhabitants at odds. This strategy led to near-constant warfare among the various groups. At the center of Jupiter's circle environment lies the land of Zeus, the seat of power. The Zeus-born, alongside another dominant group called the Europeans, rule with an iron grip. They manipulate the other territories like Ganymede, Callisto, and Amalthea into fighting one another, keeping them too divided to challenge the central authority. In Metis, an exclusive and secretive area, only the Anunnaki and their allies reside. Here, destructive weapons are developed, reinforcing their dominance. The influence of the Anunnaki is evident everywhere, with pyramids dotting the landscape as symbols of control. These lands, while rich in history, remain plagued by the divisions that were deliberately inflicted upon them. Nearby, the lands of Pegasus tell a story of hope and tragedy. The Lanteans, a race of winged beings, once thrived here, known for their extraordinary metallic wings and peaceful nature. They focused on exploration rather than conquest, a choice that left them vulnerable when the custodians arrived. At first, the Lanteans tried to cooperate, sharing their technology in hopes of coexistence. But the custodians betrayed them, seizing their resources and exploiting their advancements for their own gain. Realizing their mistake too late, the Lanteans fought back. Their rebellion was fierce but ultimately unsuccessful, leading to devastating massacres. Some say the Lanteans were wiped out, while others believe remnants of their kind survive, their stories woven into myths of angelic beings. Farther away in Aldebaran, the Taurians stand as a testament to resilience and transformation. These towering beings, resembling the legendary Minotaur, once had a dark reputation for feeding on human flesh. Over time, however, they evolved into protectors, helping other races escape extinction. Their defiance against the custodians made them enemies of the parasitic rulers of the Great Dome, but their empathy and dedication to life have made them allies to many oppressed species. The Taurians are physically imposing, with their horns often cut in childhood to symbolize maturity. Their past is marked by internal wars, particularly in Aldebaran A, where so much blood was spilled that the area was abandoned out of respect. Today they live across various worlds, their spiritual growth and technological expertise serving as a beacon of hope. The Saturnians, meanwhile, have never known subjugation. These colossal beings, standing up to 14 meters tall, possess unparalleled psychic abilities and advanced technology. When the Anunnaki attempted to infiltrate their lands, they quickly realized conquest was impossible. Instead, they sought a truce. But the Saturnians, united in their decisions and free from hierarchies, refused to aid the Anunnaki's schemes, especially their plans to penetrate the celestial lands. Saturnians are serene and harmonious, relying on collective decisions to guide their civilization. Their presence has left an indelible mark on the known lands, often misinterpreted as myth due to custodian manipulation. Alongside the Anakim giants, they remain a formidable force against the custodians and Anunnaki. In the Orion lands, the Greys dominate with their unmatched scientific and psychic capabilities. These small beings have been integral to the custodians' efforts to conquer the celestial lands, though their experiments on other races, particularly humans, have earned them a reputation for cruelty. The Greys' lack of empathy is evident in the many harrowing accounts of abductions and genetic tests. Despite their advanced technology, the Greys have suffered defeats. During the time of Tartary, they attempted to control the known lands, but were overthrown by an alliance of giants and humans. Their leader was killed, deepening their hatred for humanity. While they colonized independent lands, they have never been able to dominate a full circle environment on their own. The Pleiadians offer a stark contrast. Tall and ethereal, they are known for their spiritual wisdom and dedication to improving life. Their ancestors fled to the Pleiades after surviving the Battle of Asgard. Though generally benevolent, their early pact with the Anunnaki subjected them to manipulation, leading to periodic disasters in their homeland. While they occasionally visited the known lands, they often struggled to coexist with humans and preferred isolation. The lands of the clones are a grim reminder of experimentation gone awry. Initially created by the Anunnaki as a testing ground, this circle environment became a site for cloning. Escaped clones caused chaos, leading to the land's abandonment. Today, it remains a desolate, eerie place, with its laboratories left untouched. Finally, the reptilians, or Lacerta beings, reside in their isolated lands, far from the known lands. They prefer underground cities and maintain a wary distance from other civilizations. Known for their advanced technology and military prowess, they have resisted all attempts at subjugation. While they occasionally engage with the custodians, their true loyalties remain ambiguous. Some speculate they might align with the custodians in future conflicts, though their ultimate intentions are shrouded in mystery. The celestial lands, however, remain a mystery, untouched by the parasitic races that have spread their influence across countless worlds. These hidden lands, inaccessible even to the custodians and Anunnaki, despite their relentless attempts, are said to hold secrets tied deeply to humanity's essence, secrets that remain beyond the reach of any conqueror. Many extraterrestrial worlds exist beyond the celestial lands, each with its unique struggles and stories. Some thrive in peace, untouched by the parasitic races, perhaps because they offered nothing of interest to their would-be oppressors. Others, however, suffered a far worse fate. The parasitic races often invaded developing civilizations, stripping their lands of resources and altering their histories, leaving behind broken worlds and extinguished dreams. Humanity, too, bears the scars of this exploitation. Though physically intact, it has been spiritually fractured, its potential deliberately suppressed. The colonizers' true goal was not mere conquest, but the erosion of humanity's connection to what is called the source of life. This essence is believed to be a unique gift that no other race possesses, a connection to the celestial lands themselves. The source of life is what makes humanity different. It is something that the colonizers have never been able to control or manipulate. Despite their power, they cannot alter this inner truth. This inability has long fueled their fear, as the very existence of this essence poses a threat to their dominance. The physical chains of oppression may weigh heavy, but the spirit remains untouchable. Across the Great Dome, some races have successfully resisted the parasitic forces. They endured, adapted, and in some cases overcame. These examples remind humanity that survival is possible, that there is hope even in the face of overwhelming odds. The celestial lands stand as a symbol of that hope. Untouched and undefiled, they are a testament to the possibility of resistance and renewal. The fact that the parasitic races have been unable to penetrate them despite their best efforts only amplifies their importance. These lands hold the key to understanding what humanity has lost and what it might yet regain. Hidden within their borders may lie the path to freedom, a path that has not yet been forgotten. For now, the celestial lands remain out of reach, but their existence alone is a reminder of the strength that resides within. It is a strength that cannot be taken, only rediscovered. Beyond the known worlds, there are many other places, each with its own story. Some worlds have been lucky, living in peace and growing without trouble. Maybe the colonizers didn't see anything worth taking, or perhaps these worlds developed too late to catch their attention. But not all were so fortunate. Many lands were attacked before they could fully grow, their people left broken, their histories rewritten, and their dreams destroyed. In these lands, the invaders took everything, leaving behind scars and emptiness. Humanity shares this story of loss. Long ago, its place in the world was stolen, and now it struggles to find its way back. The colonizers remain in control, draining humanity's spirit little by little. While people still live, their inner strength, their true power, is fading. The real danger isn't physical destruction. It's the day when no one remembers the potential they hold within to change their world. 3 major colonizing races have kept humanity and many others under their control. They use fear, lies, and manipulation to stay in power. But there is hope. Some races have managed to break free. Their stories offer lessons on how to resist and fight back. Some of these beings are even willing to help humanity find its own strength and freedom. At the heart of it all is a great mystery: the celestial lands. These hidden worlds are untouched by the colonizers. Despite all their advanced technology and power, they have never been able to enter. The celestial lands hold a secret, the source of life. This is something unique to humanity, something the invaders cannot control or destroy. They can change the outside world, but they cannot reach the strength that lies within. William Morris had always been a man driven by curiosity and a refusal to accept the boundaries others imposed. Born in the known lands, he lived under the shadow of towering ice walls and mysterious barriers that seemed to cage humanity, both physically and mentally. These walls were not natural. They were creations of those who sought to confine and control. Yet where others saw obstacles, William saw an invitation. Against all odds, he crossed those ice walls, venturing into the unknown. What he discovered on the other side was more than a new land. It was a revelation. The Ancestral Republic, as it was known, was a place untouched by the forces that dominated his homeland. Here people thrived in freedom, advancing in ways the known lands could only dream of. It was a society built on resilience and knowledge, and it quickly became William's new home. In this land of promise, William met a woman who shared his unyielding spirit. She was native to the Republic, her life shaped by the sacrifices of her ancestors who had fought to preserve their freedom. Together, they built a life filled with purpose and love, and it was in this union that their daughter was born. She was a child of 2 worlds, one of struggle and confinement, the other of hope and boundless possibility. Growing up, the daughter often listened to stories of her parents' lives. From her mother, she learned about the fierce battles waged to protect the Republic, the sacrifices made to ensure its survival. From her father, she heard tales of the known lands, a place filled with untapped potential but shackled by those who sought to suppress it. Her father's courage in crossing the barriers and her mother's determination to honor her ancestors filled her with a sense of destiny. "They gave everything for freedom," her mother would say, her voice both proud and wistful. These words stayed with her, igniting a desire to understand the lands her father had left behind. She dreamed of stepping onto the soil of the known lands, retracing her father's path, and bridging the gap between two worlds that had been kept apart for so long. William Morris was not just a man of the sea, but a figure defined by relentless determination and a vision for a freer humanity. At the age of 34, he had already earned his place as a seasoned member of the Continental Navy, but it wasn't his military rank that set him apart. It was his unwavering refusal to accept the status quo. His journey would be shaped by one fateful meeting with a man named Butler, a figure shrouded in secrecy and intrigue. Butler, like William, was no stranger to navigating uncharted waters. He had been born in the ancestral Republic, a land beyond the ice walls, and was deeply embedded in the struggle to reclaim what humanity had lost. His expertise wasn't limited to maps and compasses. Butler led the Naval Council of the Republic, a position that made him the mastermind behind daring infiltration missions into the known lands. Together, these two men forged a plan that would test the limits of courage and strategy. With a team of experienced navigators and warriors, they set their sights on the unthinkable, crossing the polar ice walls that had imprisoned the known lands for generations. This wasn't an act of random bravery. It was a calculated operation. Butler, having traversed these treacherous barriers countless times, became their guide, his intimate knowledge of the path turning the impossible into a reality. For William, the journey was not just a physical crossing, but a profound awakening. The mission was fraught with danger. The walls were more than just physical barriers. They symbolized the grip of a parasitic power that thrived on keeping humanity divided and subdued. Threats loomed at every turn: hostile forces, the harsh environment, and the ever-present risk of discovery. Yet the team pressed on, driven by the belief that the known lands were not meant to remain in chains. Butler and William's partnership was more than a meeting of minds. It was a union of purpose. Butler had visited the known lands more times than history would ever record, infiltrating their depths to prepare for this moment. Together they envisioned a humanity that could break free, one that could challenge its colonizers and reclaim the freedom it had long been denied. While the road ahead was steep, both men knew that waiting for change was not an option. Action was their only course, even if the odds were stacked against them. The mission wasn't just about survival, it was about hope. William and Butler weren't simply fighting to escape the known lands, they were laying the groundwork for something greater, an alternative plan to ensure humanity's survival before the next great reset. It wasn't just a rebellion against the colonizers, it was a race against time to save humanity's essence from being erased once and for all. The near lands, also called the Ancestral Republic, are a place hidden behind ice walls and mountains, home to the survivors of a great war. These people are the descendants of humanity before the last reset, a time when everything familiar was destroyed. Their lands are not only a refuge, but a symbol of resilience and survival. Long ago, their ancestors fled from a terrible war that left them no choice but to escape or perish. Those who survived crossed the barriers and created a new life far from the destruction. These ancestors came from all parts of the known lands, bringing their languages, cultures, and stories with them. Over time, the diverse groups blended into a unified community, forming a unique identity while holding on to the memories of the world they left behind. In the Republic, people still remember the sacrifices that made their survival possible. One story often told is of the giants, beings who helped countless families escape the devastation. Without them, we wouldn't have made it, the elders say. The giants carried children and families to safety, saving lives when all seemed lost. The gratitude for their bravery is passed down through generations. The people of the Republic speak a mix of languages, with their native tongue being most common. Yet they work hard to keep the old languages alive, especially in the smaller communities. The larger cities often lose touch with these roots, but there's a collective effort to maintain the connection to their past. The war that forced their ancestors to flee was devastating. Millions perished, including a young woman's grandfather, who fought bravely until the end. Her mother, just a baby at the time, was carried to safety by her grandmother. Stories like this are told with deep emotion, a reminder of the price paid for their survival. Long ago, when the known lands were still alive with dreams of freedom, an alliance formed between humans and a race often whispered about in myths, the giants. These beings were not the terrifying creatures of folklore, but powerful allies who believed in the potential of humanity. They came from far beyond the barriers of ice and mountains, drawn by the hope that together they could overthrow the oppressive reign of the custodians. At the heart of this alliance was the Great Tartary, a thriving civilization where humans and giants worked side by side. It was a place of innovation, strength, and unity, a testament to what could be achieved when differences were set aside. The Tartary was a beacon of hope, its people daring to dream of a world free from the manipulations of their colonizers. But such defiance could not go unnoticed. The custodians, whose control stretched across the known lands, saw this unity as a direct threat to their dominance. They acted swiftly, not just to dismantle Tartary but to erase it entirely. Maps were redrawn, histories rewritten, and the giants, those noble allies, were recast as villains in the tales that survived. They were painted as enemies of the gods, their true intentions buried beneath layers of deceit. The giants, however, had only ever sought to protect. Their mission was to preserve the spiritual growth of humanity, a potential the custodians feared above all else. For the colonizers, controlling the physical world wasn't enough. They sought to suppress the very essence of human resilience and hope. The battle for freedom came at a great cost. The alliance between giants and humans waged a war like no other, their combined strength shaking the foundations of the custodians' rule. Victory was almost within reach, but the custodians were relentless. In the end, the battlefields of the known lands were left stained with the blood of those who had dared to dream. The oceans that bordered these lands became silent graves for the fallen, a testament to the price of defiance. In the wake of their defeat, the giants disappeared. They retreated into the shadows, choosing to remain hidden rather than risk bringing further harm to humanity. Their retreat was not a sign of surrender, but an act of wisdom. They had seen the consequences of their actions and understood that the time was not yet right for liberation. The Great War began with such speed and ferocity that there was no time for preparation or understanding. The custodians, true to their methods, launched a direct assault on the major cities. Their strategy was calculated and brutal: strike at the heart of power, dismantle the core, and let the rest crumble. The chaos that followed was their weapon, a tactic perfected over countless conquests. Before the war, the giants had warned humanity of the custodians' intentions. They spoke of plans to contaminate the air of this world, a tactic that had been employed on other continents beyond the domes. At the time, little was known about those distant lands or the true extent of custodial greed and hostility. The giants, with their ancient knowledge, brought humanity insight into the custodians' methods, their weaknesses, and their relentless hunger for control. The alliance between humans and giants had transformed the Great Tartary into a beacon of resistance. It was not built overnight. Through meticulously organized plans and unity, Tartary advanced rapidly, creating an unprecedented challenge to custodial rule. Everything moved with the precision of a great clock, a testament to the determination and ingenuity of its people. The giants brought their strength and wisdom, while humans contributed resourcefulness and ambition. Together, they forged a society that the custodians could not ignore. But the custodians, known for their manipulation and cunning, were unwilling to admit the threat posed by Tartary. The walls of ice and other barriers that now divide the world did not exist then. The continents, though slightly altered, were freer and more connected. The custodians used their power to reshape these lands after the war, crafting a new beginning that concealed their near defeat. They twisted the environment and erased the truth, ensuring that no memory of Tartary's defiance would remain. The custodians labeled the giants as barbarians, deriding their strength and unity. Humanity, in turn, became the target of their deepest disdain. The war was not just a battle for territory. It was a war against the very essence of freedom and cooperation. The custodians sought to dismantle the bond between giants and humans, fearing what could be accomplished when two such forces united. Though the custodians ultimately reclaimed their grip on the known lands, the legacy of the Great Tartary and the sacrifices of the giants and humans who fought in its defense remain. Their story, buried beneath layers of lies and manipulation, is a reminder of what was almost achieved, a near victory over an enemy thought to be invincible. Even now, whispers of the Great War and the courage of those who fought in it linger, waiting for the day when humanity might rise again and finish what was started. The fall of the great cities began with an ominous sign, a thick, suffocating black smoke that crept through the streets like a living shadow. It marked the arrival of the custodians' wrath, a calculated retaliation that would dismantle an empire built on hope and unity. This empire, the Great Tartary, had been a beacon of human and giant collaboration, a rare era where knowledge and technology were shared to create a society capable of standing against oppression. The giants had brought humanity tools and ideas beyond anything they had ever imagined. Together, they achieved remarkable progress, using their combined intellect and strength to challenge the dominance of the custodians. But even with their advancements, the Great War came faster than anyone had expected. The Tartary's defenses, though impressive, were no match for the custodians' relentless assault. The custodians aimed straight for the heart of Tartary. Their attacks were ruthless, leaving cities in ruins and morale in tatters. A great flood followed, devastating the lands further. Hope flickered as the Anakim, a faction of giants who had allied with humanity, fought valiantly using their advanced technology. But not all giants stood united. Some, seeing the odds stacked against them, chose not to fight, believing resistance was futile. Despite the divisions, the spirit of resistance burned brightly in Tartary. For a brief, electrifying moment, there was a glimmer of possibility, a chance that they could achieve true freedom. That hope, however, came at a cost. The custodians, weakened by the fierce resistance, retaliated with measures so brutal that the land itself bore the scars. They poisoned the air, altered climates, and erased entire histories. They reshaped the known lands with walls of ice, burying the memory of Tartary beneath layers of manipulation. This war was not just physical, but spiritual. The custodians knew that to truly subjugate humanity, they needed to hollow out its soul. They created a system of control that extended into every facet of life, a system designed to strip people of their ability to question, to hope, to resist. Through propaganda, they rewrote reality, convincing the masses to accept lies as truth. Those who dared to challenge their narrative were ridiculed, ostracized, and silenced. And yet, in the shadows of despair, there remained a flicker of defiance. The giants, though largely defeated, continued to aid humanity in secret. They refused to abandon the fight, driven by the memory of the sacrifices made in Tartary. Their presence was a reminder that not all was lost, that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, there were those who would not yield. The custodians' greatest weapon was not their technology, but their ability to manipulate belief. They turned truth into a lie, and a lie into an unquestionable fact. If the sky were declared pink, the storytellers warned, the world would repeat it until it became law. Few would dare to look up, and fewer still would speak out if they saw otherwise. This chilling reality is why the fight continues. For those who know the truth, the battle is not just for land or power, but for the very essence of humanity. The great cities may have fallen, but their story lives on in those who refuse to let the flame of freedom die. And as long as there are whispers of resistance, the hope for a better future remains. The last reset in the known lands was unlike anything before it, devastating, calculated, and relentless. It marked the end of an era where humans and giants had come tantalizingly close to breaking free from the parasitic oppressors who controlled their world. Victory seemed possible at one point. The giants, with their advanced knowledge and unyielding strength, had joined humanity in their struggle, and for a fleeting moment they held the upper hand. But the tide of war turned, and the fall of the four great centers sealed their fate. The war left unimaginable destruction in its wake. Cities once bustling with life were reduced to ruins, engulfed in flames, or buried in darkness. The custodians, desperate to regain control, unleashed weapons beyond comprehension. There were whispers of technology that could petrify living beings, a cruel echo of atrocities committed in the distant past. Those who survived described a nightmare. Homes vanished, loved ones lost, and a flood of mud and water that swept away everything in its path. This flood, now known as the Mud Flood, was no ordinary disaster. It was a deliberate act, a calculated move to reset the world. The custodians had initiated it prematurely, cutting short the development cycle they had imposed on humanity. Normally, resets occurred when a civilization reached a predefined limit of years, a cruel experiment in controlled growth. But the war's intensity forced their hand. Survivors of the reset emerged into a new world, one where remnants of the past were buried beneath layers of manipulation. Monuments and structures from the old world still stood, resilient against time and war, but they became relics of a history rewritten. The custodians mixed truth with lies, creating a narrative so distorted that understanding the true sequence of events became nearly impossible. The reset was brutal. Adults and children over 7 months old were wiped out, their lives erased, as if they had never existed. Only infants, carefully chosen by the custodians, were spared. These young survivors were left to grow in a world engineered to stifle their spiritual and intellectual growth. The custodians controlled every aspect of this environment, ensuring that humanity never again came close to understanding its true potential or breaking free. The giants' intervention had been a turning point, a moment when the veil of ignorance was lifted. They shared knowledge of the lands beyond, of life beyond the dome, and of the truth behind the manipulation. But this knowledge made humanity dangerous in the eyes of the custodians. The reset wasn't just a punishment, it was a way to silence the awakening. Imagine living in a greenhouse where every aspect of your environment is controlled. The soil can be poisoned or enriched at will, and the light can nurture or destroy. This is the reality of the known lands, a world meticulously shaped by unseen hands. The last reset was a stark reminder of the custodians' power, their fear of losing control, and their willingness to sacrifice entire generations to maintain their dominance. But even in this darkness, traces of the past persist. The monuments and stories of the old world remain, fragments of a forgotten legacy waiting to be rediscovered. The spirit of those who fought for freedom lingers, a quiet but unyielding defiance against the forces that seek to erase them. William Morris could not ignore the anguish that consumed him daily. He had returned to the lands of his birth, a place haunted by the suffering of those he called his brothers. The pain of knowing that countless lives were being lost to war, manipulation, and plague within the known lands was a burden that grew heavier with each passing day. Yet his resolve remained unshaken. He spent his days meticulously planning a way to return and aid those trapped in this living hell. To William, these lands were not just a memory, they were home, filled with people who deserved freedom and truth. However, the world beyond the known lands was not without its own perils. The custodians, restless and vengeful, had begun to extend their reach. Their attacks now targeted lands that had previously remained untouched, silent havens that were now under siege. Among the custodians' most shocking discoveries was a city of giants and giant humans. These beings, labeled as traitors by the custodians, had defied their authority and developed technology that rivaled even the most advanced creations of their oppressors. The custodians launched an assault on the city, but their efforts were in vain. The Anakim, the great allies of these giants, had bolstered their defenses to an unimaginable level. The custodians were expelled, humiliated, and forced to retreat back to the known lands. This defeat left the custodians rattled. They feared losing their grip on the known lands, their prized colony. In a desperate attempt to maintain control, they began reinforcing the walls that separated the known lands from the truth beyond. Advanced technology and military might were deployed to create a seemingly impenetrable barrier. Treaties were signed, and military bases were established throughout the region, all designed to keep the truth hidden from humanity. The custodians, masters of control and manipulation, had long believed their prized colony was impenetrable. Yet beneath their radar, a network of infiltrators had been quietly growing, numbering over 14,000. These were ancestors from the Ancestral Republic, a result of the daring Morris-Butler plan, formed with the collaboration of giant leaders and other races united in their silent fight for humanity's liberation. This intricate operation had one goal: to awaken the oppressed and reveal the truths hidden behind the custodians' veil of lies. For years, these infiltrators worked in secrecy, weaving their influence into key areas: politics, institutions, and even the very organizations the custodians used to maintain control. Each step was delicate, for even a whisper of their presence could trigger catastrophic consequences, possibly even an immediate reset. They walked a razor-thin line, spreading knowledge about humanity's spiritual potential and its forgotten history, while evading the custodians' all-seeing eyes. Infiltrating the known lands was no simple feat. The barriers were fortified with advanced technology, including radars capable of triggering earthquakes, and military bases patrolled the perimeters relentlessly. Yet the infiltrators, with the aid of advanced technology and unparalleled determination, managed to slip through. For a time, their efforts seemed unstoppable. Then came the event that changed everything. Near the Antarctic Peninsula, known to the infiltrators as False Antarctica, a group from the Ancestral Republic encountered a custodian military base while traveling aboard an icebreaker. When the custodian patrol tried to intercept them, the infiltrators sank their ship in a desperate escape attempt. The incident sent shockwaves through the custodian hierarchy. Alarms were raised, and a manhunt of unprecedented scale began. The custodians acted swiftly and brutally. Using this event as an excuse, they launched raids across countless homes and institutions, claiming to root out hidden threats. Advanced surveillance technology, already in place, was fortified to monitor the new humanity's every move. The infiltrators, once operating in the shadows, now faced relentless pursuit. The fallout was devastating. Many of the 14,000 infiltrators were forced to retreat, their mission compromised. Some were captured and met with unspeakable torture, punished as traitors to the custodial regime. Their sacrifices weighed heavily on those who remained, a grim reminder of the risks they had taken for the hope of freedom. Among those who returned was Captain Butler. The death of William Morris marked one of the darkest moments in the struggle for humanity's liberation. It was a day that etched itself into the hearts of those who fought alongside him. Butler, a man hardened by war but broken by loss, approached Helen and her mother with a limp, his wounds evident in both body and spirit. Every step he took toward them felt like an eternity, and when he finally reached them, he could no longer contain his grief. Tears filled his eyes as he delivered the news that no one wanted to hear. William Morris had fallen. He had died near the Antarctic zone, a victim of the custodians' desperation. In their panic to maintain control, the custodians had distributed advanced technology to certain human leaders within the known lands. Technology that even those leaders didn't fully understand. The custodians, seasoned in war but blinded by fear, had underestimated the dangers of their actions. This decision put their own colony at risk, as they armed a population that could barely wield such power responsibly. The tragedy unfolded during a return mission. William was aboard a ship known as Iron Blue, accompanied by ancestors and newly awakened humans who were attempting to escape the oppressive confines of the known lands. As they crossed the Antarctic skies, their ship disintegrated mid-air. The custodians had created an invisible barrier near the dome, a last-minute defensive measure to block the air route that the ancestors had discovered. The barrier obliterated the Iron Blue, taking William's life along with many others. Butler, who had been traveling in a separate ship, narrowly survived. When he recounted the events, his words painted a picture of chaos and betrayal. The custodians, in their bid to suppress the resistance, had unleashed a storm of destruction that spiraled out of their control. It wasn't just the ancestors and their allies who suffered. The technology they handed over sparked conflict within the known lands, as countries turned these deadly tools on each other. Advanced weapons, climate manipulation, and environmental control became instruments of chaos. Planes, ships, and even people vanished without a trace, disintegrated by forces they couldn't comprehend. For Helen, the loss of her father was a moment of profound despair. Was it all worth it? She questioned. The cause that William had fought for seemed hopeless, a battle against insurmountable odds. But with time, that despair transformed into resolve. They came to understand that William's sacrifice wasn't in vain. His dream of freedom and his unwavering belief in humanity's potential became a beacon of hope for those left behind. The custodians' actions, however, left the known lands in a state of peril. The technology they introduced fueled wars and deepened divisions among the nations. Leaders wielded their newfound power recklessly, threatening global destruction through biological weapons and other catastrophic means. The custodians themselves feared that humanity might turn this technology against them, though such a scenario seemed far removed from reality. The more immediate threat was the prospect of another reset, a complete erasure of humanity's progress, initiated out of the custodians' fear of losing control. The fight for humanity's liberation has not ended. In fact, it has only grown stronger, fueled by the sacrifices of those who have come before. William Morris's death, though a devastating loss, ignited a deeper resolve within the Republic. He had been a symbol of hope, a bridge between the known lands and those yearning for freedom. His memory strengthened the resolve of those who remained steadfast against the custodians' relentless grip. The plan, while delayed, was never abandoned. Progress takes time, especially when the true battle lies not just in the physical world, but within the human mind. The custodians' greatest weapon is psychological control, a ceaseless barrage of thoughts, fears, and divisions implanted to keep humanity fragmented. These voices, the doubts, insecurities, and endless competition, are their tools of oppression, designed to wear people down and stifle their spiritual potential. Yet humanity endures, proving its resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity. The path forward requires a profound shift. Humanity must learn to silence these intrusive thoughts, to reconnect with the innate strength that has kept it standing despite generations of manipulation. The key lies in teaching future generations their true potential, shielding children from the distractions and divisions the custodians deploy to mold them into obedient followers. Through media, science, and education, they control the narrative, using trusted figures to ridicule and discredit any who dare to challenge their authority. But the answer is not to reject these systems outright. It is to infiltrate them, to excel within them, and to dismantle the corruption from the inside. The Republic has a different vision, one that fosters genuine scientific advancement and spiritual growth. The ancestral knowledge and the contributions of the giant humans, once hidden or destroyed by the custodians, remain vital to this effort. This lost legacy holds the keys to ending the cycle of control and conditioning. It's a monumental task, but one made possible by humanity's unique essence. As the source of life, humanity carries within it an unparalleled connection to the Great Dome and possibly to other worlds beyond. Other races have defeated the custodians before, proving that liberation is achievable. But humanity's potential is singular, something the custodians fear and cannot fully understand. It is this potential, this connection to the essence of existence, that makes humanity a pivotal force in the struggle for freedom. The Republic and its allies remain vigilant, working in the shadows, alongside those who have awakened to the truth. They stand ready, waiting for the right moment to break the chains of this so-called human farm and transform it into eternal freedom. The journey is long, the struggle immense, but the dream of a liberated humanity burns brighter than ever. Those who fight do so, knowing that the seeds of unity and love will one day bloom, ushering in a world free from the grasp of tyranny.